So I'm super delighted to have with me once again, Mark Simpson from Boostly. Welcome back, Mark. Always an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. This is episode number 3 now, so I get my hat trick football. So I've
Yes. Yeah, you get a T-shirt.
got
I'll bring it to you in Barcelona. I've been on Vacation Rentals Success podcast 3 times.
I'll wear it with pride.
No, it's really great to have you back. You're doing so much at the moment. I see you everywhere. I know you're heading off to Nashville to the Wealth Conference shortly. Tell me what's happening in your world. What's been going on in the last 6 months or so, and that includes the new arrival, of course.
So I've been making humans, moving countries, and doing all things Boostly and direct bookings as well. Yeah, now this last 6 months has been a heck of a ride. So yeah, we've moved back to the UK. We've had a little baby girl, Rosie, released a couple of books, which has been an unbelievable ride, and just part of another co-authored book at the moment, Hospitable Hosts #2, which is obviously be out now by the time this gets released, which is really cool. And yeah, and we've really delved really down on direct bookings, website design, API integrations with like PMS partners, and which has been really cool because we're now actually able to see how like the websites, how they work, and the bookings that are coming in, where they're coming in from around the world, and we're able to really start to put together some really cool data boards, etc. It's all exciting times. And the cool thing is now, from when we last spoke, is that there are so much tools, softwares, pieces of kit, advice, training geared up for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you've got one property or if you've got 100 and everything in between. Right? It's finally available for all, which is really exciting to me, because I always remember when I first started in 2011, like properly full-time in the family business, there was nothing. There was nothing. Like, you couldn't really connect anything together anywhere. Nothing talked to each other. So it made everything so much harder. And now it's so much easier for a newbie who's just coming into the game. So it's an exciting time. Even with all the craziness and madness that's going on around the world, it's still an exciting time for hosts and hospitality.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're not going to be talking about AI and ChatGPT today, but I did mention in the introduction that, way back when I started 25 years ago, there was nothing at all. And, we're going to talk about this, how it can be really overwhelming to be in this business and to do all the things, all those different moving parts that we've got to do. But I was just saying that, I went from there to now, where now there's a platform where you can record your voice, and I could publish a solo podcast and not open my mouth.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
And and I said that's why it's on video. You can see that it's us talking. We don't have 2 AI talking heads.
Yeah, we are real. We are, we are definitely real, and coming at you and giving you all the help and advice, which is with all this shenanigans that you can do behind the scenes. I feel like podcasts like this and like voices like what we can do and how we can help is going to be just come even more important, because we could easily fall into the trap of a world of copy and paste, where everybody literally looks the same online, offline, everywhere. So it's important to have these messages and how we can personalize our business, which obviously what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, cool. Exactly. So going back to this overwhelm, I remember it well, the first year or so of my business, and we just did absolutely everything. We were doing everything without the help that was out there on the technology side. Now it's very different in the technology that's available to us, but we still have all these same moving parts that we have to bring together, whether it's operations and cleaning toilets and hiring housekeepers and people to do supervision, to marketing and the financial side of it. And it's tough for everybody, unless of course you're simply being completely passive and putting your property on Airbnb and standing back and letting somebody do the rest and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
So I know where you stand on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, very well spoken. We've had 2 podcasts on it of like the feelings, and you can definitely go back and listen to that. But yeah, it's I think times are changing now. I think so many hosts now are realizing you can't just put it on one site and expect revenue to come in. And that's obviously what we're going to talk about, because I think it's really important now more than ever. 2023 and 2024 is going to be the year of the upsell. It's going to be the year of bringing it right back to where it began, which is hospitality, which is what this whole industry is like founded on. So it's going to be really important to like the hosts that tap into that, well, the ones that will win.
Yeah, and in doing that, hosts are going to have to be more hands-on in different areas, and you can choose where you want to be. But we're going to talk today about the one hire that you're missing in your business. And I'm taking this directly from what you're going to be talking about in Barcelona. So sorry, Damien, but it's going to boost your revenue and enhance your guest experience. So let me just hand it over to you. I remember when I did my first hire, I hired for where I was weak, and that was in numbers and finance. And so we hired a bookkeeper. But of course, nobody does their own bookkeeping now. You just have a bookkeeper, that somebody out there, maybe your PMS is doing your bookkeeping for you. Yeah. So how do you start this? What is your one hire? Where do you start?
So let's just assume that everybody has got, the necessities, i.e. a cleaner, i.e. property maintenance, handyman. That's like a forgiven. The hire that I'm going to talk about, like we said in the title, you can boost your profits, increase your guest experience. And it falls around something that every host now has tried to automatize this process. There are some amazing companies out there that, Smart B&B back in the day, they sort of revolutionized this by saying, listen, you don't have to be always on hand to answer every single guest message that comes in on Airbnb, for example, or wherever. Like, we will automatize that process. You just give us keywords. And everybody jumped onto that. And obviously Smart B&B is now Hospitable, and every property management software to a point has got automated messaging. Even Airbnb now bringing automated messaging, depends on keywords, etc. And so as we go down this route of automatizing, people are like, because like you say, they want passive income, they want passive communication and all those sort of things. We sort of leave that part. But an important message that I feel like every business owner needs to build into their daily lives, like a piece of writing and a quote you should literally go by and look at every single day, is every guest communication is a sales opportunity. And when we talk about the one hire that everybody's missing, to me, it's just perfectly obvious. And people do this now themselves naturally, but it can be a time suck. And the good news is that you could find somebody very easily, 30, 40 hours a week. You're spending less than $600, $7 a month paying somebody to do. And the return of revenue and the return of guest experience is key. And it's what I'm calling a guest success manager. So you may be working now with a company, you may be working with a property management software, you may be working to another one of these providers, whether it's upsells, whatever, and they may have a client success manager, somebody that reaches out to you and check how you're doing, and an account manager, so to speak. But imagine then putting it into the world of hospitality and into our businesses and calling it a guest success manager. And there's some key parts of the booking process, and there's key parts of the stay and the after stay that I've identified that will be able to, again, boost revenue, but most importantly, boost the guest experience. And we can go down on this route, however and wherever you'd like to sort of weave it into. But yeah, we're calling it the guest success manager. And I'm excited to dig into it today.
Well, I'd like to go into it sort of chronologically, before the stay, during the stay, after the stay.
That's a great
place. It's that map of that everybody has to follow, and so many people miss out some of these really key areas. I mean, Andy McNulty, he called it tumbleweed time, that time between booking and stay, where you could be sitting, and he had this wonderful graphic that he did with a presentation with this somebody leaning against one of those old gas pumps and this tumbleweed just slowly going down the road, as you're sitting there waiting for somebody to help you plan your vacation, because it's not the same as it used to be when you had to do it all yourself. You expect that you're going to get some assistance these days.
And this is an awesome thing, is that you can easily have this in alongside a Touch Day digital guidebook. Like, this is not going to replace that. This is to go alongside it. And a big thing that I always look to do, when, whether it's Boostly or whether it's explaining to hosts on the hospitality businesses, when everybody zigs, you should look to zag. And now everybody has gone from that, one-on-one communication, phone calls, etc., to like automatize it. So everybody's trying to sort of automatize that process, so they never have to deal with a guest question again. So it's like, well, when everybody's zigging, how can you zag? And by zagging, what you're going to do is you're going to instantly make yourself stand out from 99% now of the other hosts that are out there. And we'll start at the first point. So there's 3 main touch points. And obviously Touch Day, excuse me, and Tyann and Andy have identified some really key touch points, which is fantastic for the digital guidebook, but this goes alongside it. So the first touch point is 24 hours after the booking has been made. At max, you could extend it to 48 hours, but let's just say 24 hours after booking, because at this point, when somebody has hit the book now button, and if somebody has paid or reserved or however they've booked, right? Doesn't matter what your policy is, that is at the point where they are the most excited. They have gone, right, I'm committing to this place and I'm excited. Now, some people, depends on how they book, they may have booked 3 or 4 other places and yours is just one of them. And then they're going to cancel 2, 3, 4. It's happened all the time, right? That's how some people's guest booking process is. So what can you do to avoid you being the one that being canceled? And again, everybody now has that automated message that goes out. Everybody has that confirmation email, confirmation message, etc., etc. So how can you stand out? First thing, pick up the phone and speak to your guest. Drop a call in. Now, there is fantastic software available now where you can use this with a dialer, so you don't have to use your own cell phone or your mobile phone or your landline, whatever. Close.com, CLOSE.com is a fantastic dialer service that you can use. You can use Skype, and there's Google Phone. There's all those sort of things that you can use. But the main thing is to drop in some form of communication. Try doing a phone call. If they don't pick up, a quick SMS just to say, hey, this is Mark. I'm calling from insert property name, business name. I just wanted to have a quick chat to you about your booking. But if you can speak to the guest, this is the key part. When the guest picks up, you're not trying to sell them anything. You're not trying to do X, Y, Z. All you're doing is you're going to introduce them and thank them for choosing to book a stay with you. So, hey, it's Mark. I'm the owner, founder of insert business name. If, obviously we're going to eventually hire somebody to do this, but this is a big part of it. You can say I'm the guest success manager, whatever you want to say. And just say you want to have a quick chat about their stay, about the reservation. And 99% of the time, people will be like, yeah, absolutely. Or be like, oh, I'm really busy right now. You've caught me at a bad time. Can we arrange to speak another time? That's absolutely cool. But the main part and the main bit of this call is to do open-ended questions. You want to find out, number one, why are they coming? Is it business? Is it pleasure? Is it a leisure stay, birthday party? What's the special occasion? Who's going to be in the party? So it's a great way to find out what they're coming for the area for. But then you can ask them some really cool questions in terms of, again, open-ended. So why did you want to stay with us? What made our property stand out from everywhere else? So it's a 2-parter. You can find out why a guest is coming to stay, but also as well, find out why they booked you. There's not many instances in a booking process. You can actually survey your guests to find out why they booked with you. And we spend hours going through, rank breeze and price labs and all of these things to try and figure out why our listing is performing not as well as others and all those things. But when the best thing to do is to survey the people that actually are hitting the book now button, the people are actually giving you money. It's a fantastic way of doing, because you know what you're doing well. So if, for example, out of 10 people that you do this phone call with, or your staff member does this call with, and if 7 of them are talking about one distinct part of your property, so it could be your lakeside, it could be, you're near Disneyland and you've got Disney themed rooms and it's really stood out, then go all in on that. Really delve down on that avatar. That's the type of person. That's the picture that's popping. So that'll be like, wow, that is the picture that I need to make sure that is prevalent and relevant everywhere to speak to my ideal guest. But also as well, by simply doing that phone call, it will instantly make your chance of a cancellation less, because you are no longer just a a property, you're a name, you're a voice, you're a human, you're a person on the end of a call of the phone, and you will stand out from everybody else they could potentially look to book with. So they've got more of an affiliation with you. Again, you end it and just say, fantastic, we're really looking forward to welcoming you to our house, to our property, to our business. Thank you again for choosing our local business to stay with. We will send you a push notification with a link to your digital guidebook, for example, and check-in instructions. Please make sure you check your email. And by simply doing that, the guest will then go and check their email. How many times have you seen people complaining, or again, if you're listening to this and you know this, where a guest arrives and you've sent them all the push notifications, all of the emails, all of the texts, and they go, you know what? I never got it. I just never got it. And it's like, how? I have sent you this 100 times. And it's like, because they just don't know where to look. But by telling them this, they know to go and find it, whether it's a text or an email. I mean, you can literally, we used to do this at our family business. I used to be like, yeah, just check your email now. Just check your text. Is it that? Fantastic. That is your check-in information. That is how you will find our property. That's the time that you can check in. This is where you get your code from. This is all of the things that you could potentially look for. And you're telling them over the phone. And again, they will love you for that. So that's the first form of communication.
Yeah, Tyann Marsink is one that espouses this one. Call them, get on the phone, have that conversation, and make that relationship, because that's what it's all about. That's why the business is the hospitality relationships. But we're talking about scale. I worked in my company had 180 properties at one time. Actually, they're nearly up to 180 again. New owners have done a fabulous job. But anyway, so that was tough. In January, February, March, you're probably getting 20, 30 bookings in a very short space of time. We didn't have that luxury of being able to pick up the phone and talk to them. But yes, we didn't have I think now they are doing that because they have hired, they hired a specific person to pick up on these things. And I think this is where we're going with this.
This is where we're going with this. Yeah. So obviously, like, you have to start off by doing it yourself, because eventually you are going to hire somebody, right? And there are amazing places that you can go online to do so. You can either find somebody that is local to you, or you can find somebody that is a virtual team member, like Upwork, Fiverr. There's a company that I recommend called Gravitas Media, and they will do the actual hiring process for you. So by those three different revenues, you can find somebody that will do this virtually. Doesn't mean that they're going to be in the Philippines. You can find someone in Venezuela, South Africa, wherever. Or if you want somebody local, go local. It's literally your choice, right? Obviously, if you're going to hire somebody from another country, for example, the Philippines, the price that you pay is less. That doesn't mean the quality is any less. The quality is just as good, but obviously time zones, etc. You can go right now onto onlinejobs.ph. You can go into the search bar at the top and you could type something as very vague as Airbnb, and you will then get thousands upon thousands of people who have dealt with property management companies over the past. And you could just train them up to be a guest success manager. Obviously, very key part of this, need to have a good Wi-Fi, very good spoken and understanding of English, and obviously be able to communicate on the spot, which is easy to be found. We find these so many times. I'm testing this right now with a company in the Poconos. They are following this process. They haven't got 180 properties. They've got just under 20 properties, and they're able to easily build this into their systems and the structures. A book that I really recommend anybody get if they're looking to hire, outsource systems structures is Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. A fantastic book. It taught me everything that I needed for Boostly. And I then went and did the program on the back end, run like clockwork. And again, that really helped put systems and structures in place. And you can hire this locally, you can do this virtually. It really is good, but you have to start off by doing it yourself. And obviously you're going to be doing this at a lot lower scale, i.e. 1 property, 2 properties, 3 properties, 4 properties, whatever that may be. So you can definitely fit that in. And obviously it depends on the time of the year, where your season is, where your market is. If you can start this in a slow season, fantastic, because again, it's like less bookings coming in, so it gives you more time to sort of cut your teeth, so to speak, and start having the calls, because I guarantee you that first call is going to be awkward as you're not going to know what to say. You're going to and ah and splutter and do all the things, but it's just practice, 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 practice. Now the key thing from that first communication, picking up the call, we're not going to look to sell. We're just going to basically do a need find and find people why they're looking to choose you. Again, note and document all of this. And, even if you get a Google sheet and you start writing it down, because what you will find will be a pattern. What gets tracked gets measured. And let's just say out of 30 people that you talk to, let's say half of them or more than half of them are coming to stay with you because of a birthday, an anniversary, a reunion. Then what you can start to do is we talk about upsells, and we talk about our digital guidebook and, things like Rent Mount and the host.co. You can start to build in upsell offers and upsell packages, and you could have a birthday package. You can have an anniversary package, a reunion package, or whatever, whatever the data is telling you, you can build some around that. And then what you can start to do, part of your email automation, your digital guidebook, whatever you have, is you say, would you like to take advantage of our arrival package? And it will be when you arrive, we'll do it for you. You price it up, you can build it into what you're currently doing. Your cleaners or your changeover team can add it in, put it into the property. You get your base rate, and then you can mark this up 300% easy, because people don't want to do it themselves, but they'll pay to do it. And as new business owners, or just as business owners in general, doesn't have to be hospitality, we all make the mistake, and I've said this before, we all make the mistake of chasing new money. We're always looking for the next booking, the next guest, the next reservation, when the true profit and the true revenue growth in your business is those that are already clicking that book button. They're already the people that are giving you the money. They know, like, love, and trust. And if they're going to spend a couple of $1,000 coming to stay with you for however amount of time, if you say, hey, would you like an arrival package where your fridge is stocked, it's going to have birthday banners up for X, Y, and Z, this will be the price, whatever you price it at, they are more likely to say yes than no. And then again, you can figure all of that out by that first phone call, by surveying your guests.
So that's really where the value lies, in that first phone call. It's a relationship development, and it's also pulling out what their needs are, what their pain points are, perhaps. Yeah. And then putting something in place to ensure that those pain points are going to be resolved and their needs are met. It is so simple, Mark. Why don't more people do this?
I think that we're so fixated on the stay. We're so fixated on the reservation, on the booking. And again, what we're trying to do, and I think this is like just coming from where we are in like evolution and all that stuff, is that we are trying to automate everything. We're trying to, everybody says don't work in your business, work on your business, and all that sort of things. And so I feel we go down a way of going too far down this rabbit hole, where we sort of ignore the most important aspect of this business, which is hospitality. And, I'm not saying you literally got to meet and greet every guest and all that sort of stuff, but there's definitely things that you can put into place. And then if you do get really busy and your business scales and grows and it gets super popular, fantastic. You are ready to hire for this role now. If it gets to a point where it's like, wow, this is really busy, you then hire. And I feel that hiring stage, definitely with a lot of people, doesn't matter where you are in the world, what age you are, I feel like that hiring part of admitting that you need help is a massive, especially for Brits. I feel like definitely for Yorkshire people. And I see this, up until 2016, I would not ask for help. I'd wear that busy badge on my sleeve with pride and didn't want to admit that I needed help. But then obviously I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, changed everything for me in that sort of retrospect. And still to this day, I feel like loads of people don't want to admit they need help. And when they think about online help, everybody just naturally thinks of a VA, right? A virtual assistant. And they think, well, a virtual assistant can only do X. When if you change the mindset slightly and don't call them a virtual assistant, but call them a virtual team member, and then, really look to see what you can do with this. And then you can build your business around a team. Like Boostly hires and outsources to 40 plus people now, all around the world. And I've got nobody in the same country as me. Yeah. And we're able to run a business now with all the touch points all around the world. And if we can just bring this into hospitality and bring this into a part of like guest communication, guest management, and not hiding behind text messages, not hiding behind emails and automation, and adding that hospitality aspect to it, and your business will stand out, because 99% of people won't do it. So it's the early adopters always win.
Yeah, exactly. We've been hiring VAs from around the world for years, and some, when we sold the business, one of our VAs had been with us from the Philippines, had been with us nearly 8 years, and is still with them full time.
Yeah.
And it's just, she's a very highly valued team member.
Yeah.
She just isn't able to join us. She wasn't able to join us for the end of season dinners, but she was always there in spirit.
Yeah.
And still is. One day I hope that Hannah will make it across to Canada and get to meet people in person.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, and I think you're absolutely right when you say, people are sort of scared to do this because they don't want to give away the things that they've been doing for so long. Nobody can do it better than me.
Yes.
Well,
yeah, that's the thing I hear a lot. It's madness.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of them, it's they don't want to go through what they feel is a hassle of training somebody, because during that training process, and I know this, I've been through it myself, is you get to the point and you think, oh, I'm trying to train this, I may as well just do it myself. It was always easier.
Yeah, and that's where the Clockwork book for me was a massive. Again, 2 books: Who Not How, and Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. Really, really big books that changed the mindset and everything. And once you learn the systems and the structures, and not so much SOPs, but IPOs, like information, permission, outcome, and it's when it's clearly laid out. And we've got fantastic tools now like Loom and all of that. So where a task doesn't have to be one of these standard SOPs that you just think of and you go, oh, all that text, all that writing. It can be easily like a 5-minute Loom now, and it can explain so much more. And yeah, it can easily be outsourced. It can easily be shown, and it will have massive benefits. And again, the $600, the $700 for 30, 40 hours a week. A lot of people will go, well, that's a big spend. It's not a spend. It's an investment. When you change your mindset and go, it's not a spend. Like a spend is when you go and buy a jacket. That's a spend. That's not going to give you a return. It's going to keep you warm, but it's not going to give you a return. That's $100 you spend on a jacket isn't going to turn into 200. That an investment in a $600 member of staff to come into your business, that is a return of investment, especially if you can nail that 24-hour call, do your surveys, and then you figure out package on the back of it. But also as well, there's another really cool part of that phone call is that if you see some orphan dates in the future, i.e. there's like a 1-day gap or a 2-day gap, and you've got a guest that's staying for 4 nights, and you see there's a 2-day gap afterwards, you can plant the seed there and then and say, just to let you know, Mr. Guest, Mrs. Guest, the 26th and the 27th, they are available. If you want them, you can have them, and we can talk about a rate, a special rate that you can have them if you like. And by planting that seed into the guest, they are much more likely to come back to you and take you up on it. Vice versa as well. Anybody that's to stay afterwards, you can say, oh, by the way, you're actually going to be arriving with us on the 1st of April, but the end of March is actually available. You've got 2 nights either side. Would you like that to book that in? And we can do a reduced rate, because you don't know what you don't know, and a guest won't know you can do that. And so by literally telling them, you're planting the seed. You're not going to sell it there and then, but they will then come back to you. And I've seen this happen so many times. We're working with a client in Orlando at the moment, and he's just literally done that today. And he rents his property out for $250 a night, done a special rate around about $190 for that extra one. Done. That's an extra $190 of revenue that you wouldn't have had. It would have had that day sitting empty. And this is, you do this regularly on a consistent basis, and that return of investment just for that one tactic alone will help pay for the member of staff who's doing those calls. Yes,
I 100% agree with that. Let's move on to the next touch point.
Yeah, the next touch point. So number 2 of 3 is 24 hours after check-in. This is a key part. I've heard Graham Donahue from Sykes talk about this, and he's built this into his system really well. But again, after the first sleep is key. So let's say you've got a guest who's staying for a week. That first night's sleep is everything, because at the end of the day, if you boil down to what we're doing, is we're selling a sleep. We're selling a nice bed, comfy sleep, and a sleep is a big part of if they enjoy your stay or not, right? And so the check-in is then, so you pick up the phone, just call them and just say, hey, it's Mark calling, guest success manager of insert X. I just want to check, how was your first night? How was everything? How was check-in? And if you can eliminate any issues at this part, then you are saving a potential crappy 1-star review, 2-star review, 3-star review. If you can identify a problem, fix it, then you are instantly putting yourself back on that 5-star train that what everybody wants. And we whether we like it or not, we live and die by our reviews, right? And the worst scenario that you can have is that you don't speak to your guest or don't communicate with your guest any point during their stay. And if there is an issue and you never find out about it, that little niggly little thing, it could be something as simple as they couldn't check in, as in they couldn't find the code, they didn't know what the code is, they couldn't find the property, and it'll just start to snowball. And then every little single thing will become a big deal, like squeaky bed, the Wi-Fi didn't work or whatever. And then by the time they leave, they're like, I'm not having this. So, and you're enhancing the chance of that negative review, or even worse, nothing. And then when they go home to their friends and families and co-workers and they say, oh, did you enjoy the place you stayed? Nah, it's crap. Don't go there. Go somewhere else. You don't want that. So by having that 24-hour check-in, by doing a phone call, again, it shows personalization. Nobody's doing it, which is good. And if there is something that is wrong, then you can look to fix it straight away. If everything's tickety-boo, brilliant, welcome. Again, that's when you could mention, oh, by the way, if you didn't want to cook tonight, check out the digital guidebook with some fantastic options. By the way, if you wanted us to provide anything, we've got some options available on our online shop or whatever. That's like a fantastic opportunity to upsell. And if everything's great, just say fantastic. I hope you have a 5-star experience. You're implanting psychologically at that point about the 5-star stay and the 5-star review. And that's everything that you want to be doing, nudging them and encouraging them to make sure that when they leave, they're going to be leaving that 5-star review. And that's why that is so key. A super quick call, super quick check-in, but probably, I would say, the most important communicated part of the whole process.
Yeah, that's such a value-packed thing to do. We instigated that a couple of years ago, but doing it with text. We started, it was revolutionary. We went into the Breezeway text messaging platform, and then they got a text on the morning of the first day. How did you sleep last night? Yeah. How was it? If you've got anything you'd like to talk to us about, let us know. We'll be on the phone with you. And that actually cut down our issues by about 60%.
Yeah.
We weren't then met with, somebody leaving and saying, I didn't have such a great week because there was a tap dripping. Well, why didn't you tell us? I mean, we say so often, and I hear it so often from people on Facebook groups where they say, why didn't they tell us? Why didn't they tell us till the last minute? Well, why not give them the opportunity to tell what they're experiencing right at the beginning rather than let them leave it to the end? Some people don't like confrontation, so they don't want to get on the phone and talk about it. But if you give them the opportunity to do so, then you can save so much time and money.
It's the one thing that I wish we did do more at our family business. We did the 24-hour after booking, but we never did this part because, again, I didn't realize how important it was. But what I would always do, if we did have a bad review, I would instantly pick up the phone and I'd call them. And 9 out of 10 times, it would resolve any issue. Anytime I would call them up and I'd resolve it. And, I wouldn't ask for them to take it down, but they would end up taking the bad review down and replacing it. But again, people don't like to have those awkward conversations, but those awkward conversations will help you massively. If 7 out of 10 people are complaining about a dripping tap, guess what? You've got to fix that dripping tap. If 7 out of 10 people are talking about your crappy Wi-Fi, you've got crappy Wi-Fi, you've got to try and fix it, and you can't just bury your head in the sand and go, I only want to talk to the guests who love our place. You've got to sometimes have those tricky conversations because those are the people that are staying in your properties. You're not staying in there every night. You're not staying in there once a week, once a month. These people, your guests are. They are your live feedback. And if you can look to resolve an issue there and then, or as soon as possible, it is sometimes even better than them going, everything's great. Everything's fantastic.
Yes.
You look
Yeah.
like a business owner that is helping and looking to help that person and listening to the customer. It wins time and time again. So that's the second one.
Okay, that and it's so easy. It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
You know, if and I would say if you're not, if you have, if you don't have enough time, if you feel you don't have enough time, then just even the text is
Yes,
sufficient.
this is the part where I will let you text. If text is
Yes.
part of it, yes. A member of staff is super busy. We're doing all the things. This is the part where you can do an SMS. Like a voice note would be fantastic. I'd love you to do a voice note if you can't do an actual phone call. So a voice note is really good because it shows personalization.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Okay. Third one is after checkout. I'm not talking on the day. I'm not talking the next day or the day after. I'm talking 72 hours after checkout. And the reason why you don't do it on the day is because the day of checkout, they are so busy packing, cleaning up, making sure the property's been left in a nice state, getting into car. As soon as they hit in that car, get in that car, the real world takes over. They're no longer in vacation mode. They're instantly thinking, little Timmy's got soccer practice. I've got that work deadline. I've got all the laundry to do. So don't bother them. That is the day they've got to get out, clear out. The reason why you do 72 hours after is because they're back in normal life. And, you know, the vacation is still fresh of mind, but it's whatever. But if you can drop a phone call at this point here and then just say, again, thank them for their stay, thank them for their custom, thank them for supporting a small business, and then just say, you know, surveying. What did you love about the stay? What could we have done better? Like, what could we have done better is a real good question to ask. And if everything's good, and if everything's been great, as what we assume it all will be, 5-star, the final thing to ask is this question: do you know anyone? So we really enjoyed having you in our home, in our property. We loved it. Thank you very much for leaving it in such a lovely condition. Do you know anyone who is as cool as you that would like to stay? So asking for that referral. And this is the one thing that nobody does, but it is so effective. You never ask the question. And I've always said this. I've said this on stage. I've said this on podcasts. I've said this on webinars. Shy kids don't get sweets. And if you just ask the question, you'll be amazed at how many people will. And, you know, they may turn around and go, you know what, I don't. But you've planted that seed in their brain. So when they're on a Facebook group, for example, when they're on Instagram and a friend pops up or someone they follow and say, hey, I'm going to where your town is or your place is, your location is, and they're asking for recommendations, guess who they're going to say? They're going to say you. And the thing that I always like to do, again, is dangle a little carrot and just say, hey, you know, if somebody does book and they mention you, then we will send you X. And X could be a bottle of wine, vouchers, whatever it may be, something from like that will remind them of the holiday, whatever. Don't offer like vouchers or like a free night on your next booking. Give them something that they can actually have in their hands that will go, wow, that's really cool. I really like that. And again, it's a book called Giftology. Really good book. It's only 190 pages, like 2-hour listen on Audible. Now, context, I listen to everything at speed 1.5, so it may be a little bit longer. But again, Giftology is a really good one because it's people may think like a $50 spend, send someone in the post sounds expensive, but if you compare that to the commission that you would pay for a booking on Airbnb, Verbo, or whatever, $50 is nothing. Because if a guest is recommending you to somebody else, social proof powers 93% of all purchases in the world, right? So social proof is so key. And think about the last time that you booked in a tradesman or you did something or booked a restaurant. It's on the back of you asking or somebody's recommending it in your friend group, WhatsApp group or whatever. And so that is so powerful. And if a guest books with you directly, that $50 little present and thank you gift is nothing compared to the commission that you would pay. And that's when you drop it in 72 hours after checkout. If you want to do like a little bit of a step up, which is like makes it look even cooler, have your member of staff post something to that guest, because you get the guest data, address and everything like that. And if you can have like a little gift that goes to say, hey, thank you so much. And that gift could be whatever. It could be ordered from your local business that you've got a relationship with that will ship it to them, or it could be whatever. Like all these tools and tactics are available now to host is crazy. So it arrives and then the call comes in. It's like, wow, no one has ever done that me before. Hilton's never done that. Marriott's never done that. Airbnb's never done that. No Las Vegas casino's ever done that. But this small host that I went and stayed with for a week has sent me a little gift and a little thank you call at the end of it. That literally just cements that good vibes and that good feeling of your vacation that they've got in there as well.
Yeah, I would follow that one up, because I've been at the receiving end at times of a gift,
Yeah.
and it was a number of years ago, and we stayed somewhere, and we got home, and a week later, there was a parcel delivered to the door, and I opened it, and it was a cheap branded water bottle. And it was clearly, somebody had gone through the imprint catalog and chosen, I'm going to get 100 of these, and I'll go for the cheapest, and I'll have them branded. And that came out of the box and into the garbage. So there's ways of doing this, and there's ways of not doing this. And you talked $50. You've got to, and I mean, I've got a thing going on at the moment about swag that you get at conferences. The stuff that, you get everything, you get it in the big bag, you get it back to your hotel room, you open it, and you throw the majority of it in the garbage bin. And yet there are sometimes, and I'm still using an Owner-Res mug that I got at the Vacation Rental Women's Conference.
Yeah.
And it was a really useful tea mug, and I carry that with me. Actually, I've got 3 of them, because there were some left over at the end. So, but every time I'm, oftentimes I'm on a podcast, I'm drinking from this Owner-Res mug.
I can say you can take the Girl out of Britain, but you can't take the Britain out of the Girl. If there's mugs at the end, we're going to be having them.
and then there's at the Book Direct show in Miami, there's a company called In Haven, and they do linens and all sorts of great stuff for the properties. And there is that I got from there a water mug, a drinking, what do you call it? I should reach over and get it, and then you could show me. I could show you what it was, but I use it a lot, again, when I'm on podcasts. I was out with that, and that's those don't come cheap. It was a really, really good one. But I was out on the pickleball court the other day, and somebody said to me, "That's a really nice drinking mug. Where did you get it?"
Yeah.
Who's In Haven?
Yeah.
So I was able to explain it. I actually don't really, I segued there because I went into swag, and I really don't, I'm not sure about the branded stuff, but I think what I'm saying is, make sure if you're going to send a gift, it's got to be quality, and it's got to be useful. Here it is.
That's what the giftology book digs into. Exactly that. Yeah. A lovely metallic mug. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what the giftology book digs into. And I've actually discovered a really cool company based out of America called giftgoose.com. And again, what you can do is you can use that service. They mail it all for you. They will personalize it, etc. And you can have your logo on it or not. But it's something that will arrive in the post. And the reason why I say something to arrive in the post and not to give it on the day that they leave is really key, because on the day that they leave, they're going to forget about it. Just like when you're at a conference and you've got all these things going on, like in your last day of conference, you come back and it's like, right, the bag's there. I've got all this stuff here. What am I taking? What am I not taking? But if that was sent to you when you get home, it's a different scenario, because nobody sends anything nice in the post anymore. The only thing that comes in the post is statements and bills. But if you've got something that arrives and it's open and it's like, oh, who's this from? And it's like, this is from a business that you've stayed with. It just, again, it's a small price commitment that will mean everything, because we're in the industry of making memories, and they will have a great time because they're on holiday, right? Even if this is like a business trip, they'll have a great time because obviously your place is amazing. Everybody that listens to this podcast is obviously a fantastic host, and I've got all these lovely things going on. It's going to be 5 stars, all that cool stuff. But now it's like, how can we make ourselves stand out from the rest? Everybody complains about saturated markets and all of those things, that nonsense. I call that nonsense. If you're complaining about a saturated market, it's because you're a lazy business owner. You've got to always be thinking about how can you always be revolutionizing your business? How can you always be standing out from the rest? And if you do these little things that we're talking about, contacting the guest, calling the guest, speaking to the guest, sending a little gift, and it's not you that's going to have to be doing it, it's a member of your staff, then this is how you separate from everybody, and you'll never ever be complaining about a saturated market. But there's two more things that your hiree can be doing outside of communicating with the guest that will fill these 30 to 40 hours. Because when I talk about this, everybody's thinking 30, 40 hours. That's a lot. I don't think I can actually fill those hours with the booking. So there's two other things that they can be doing that will absolutely have a massive return of investment. If you'd like for me to explain.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Go ahead.
So the final two things that what they could be doing that's not communicating with guests is to be trying to build relationships with other businesses in your town, your city, your county, your state. And this is key because your network is your net worth. And us as business owners are so caught up in the day-to-day running of our business. Everybody says, listen, you've got to go to meetups, you've got to go to these events, you've got to go and, those BNI meetings on a Friday morning and stuff like that to build a, but they're like, I haven't got the time. But there's a fantastic thing called Google and LinkedIn. And your guest communication manager could also as well be building a group of like a Google sheet with contacts. And I call it, your top 100. So find top 100 people that you can build a relationship with. And you can reach out to, let's just say that when this guest success manager speaks to the guest 72 hours after checkout and they say, oh, what did you do? Where did you go visit? And again, if 10 people are saying, out of 10 guests, 10 people are saying, I went to this restaurant, it was amazing. I went to this place for a day out, it was amazing. Then I would have that as a little cue to go, I'm going to call the owner of said business and just say, hey, last week alone, we sent 10 of our guests, nearly 100 people to your business and they ate with you. That's free marketing right there. Is there anything that we could offer to our guests as a coupon or a discount code that would make more people want to come to you? And if any business owner turns around and goes, no, they're an idiot because they're turning down literally free money right there. And when you build those sort of relationships, it creates so many wins. I talked about it on the previous podcast, but I'll give a quick summary of it, is that we had a family farm stay business, 200-acre property. We had families come and stay with us all throughout the year. It was a lovely, lovely business. And about 20 minutes away from us was a farm day out. So they could ride tractors and play with lambs and all those cool things. And we discovered that, a large chunk of our guests would go and visit that place for a day out because it was a thing to do, waste time with the kids, etc. And what I did is I called the owner, had a chat with the owner, explained who I was, what we did, and how all of our guests were coming to visit them. And they gave us a £3 off per person coupon. And he had a little tracking code on it. And he didn't tell me this at the time, but he was tracking everybody that was coming. And over the course of the year, he would have hundreds of people come to visit the place. And he called us and he said, listen, whenever you and your family want to come, no charge, just come. And it was great for me and for our kids. It was great. We never had to pay. But the best thing is that place started to do weddings. They didn't have accommodation, but they started to do weddings. And when the bride and the groom were asking for recommendations for places to stay for the family that are coming in from out of town, guess who they sent them to us. And we worked up a real cool partnership, a real cool network. And that was one of 10 other businesses that we created really cool relationships with. And it just meant that we had this nice little referral pot going on all the time. And, we didn't ask for commission or anything like that. It was just passing each way. Now, what I want for you to do who are listening to this at home is think about that local coffee shop. Think about the local yoga instructor or the person who does like reflexology. Anybody that has an experience that you can then adopt and bring into what you're doing, and how can you create those referrals and partnerships? And if you haven't a clue, again, call your guests, survey your guests, find out where they're going, because they will tell you. And if you're pretty solid on who your avatar is and who your ideal guest is, you'll get together a story here of somebody that you can call. And if you're not confident doing it, guess who's somebody who can? And it will only be about $600, $700 a month. That return on investment is going to be massive. And then the other one, the final one, is if you are somebody that is looking to escape legislation and regulations and want to get into the medium term rental space, then if you're going to get into these 30-day stays plus, you're going to have to pull up your big boy pants, your big girl pants, and do reaching out to businesses, cold calling businesses, businesses that are in your area, businesses that are out of town, anybody that you know that's coming in from out of state, out of area for an event, for a conference, etc. You're going to have to start building up those relationships with them and get on their books, whether it's healthcare, insurance, etc. This is what a virtual staff member, team member can do for you. Find the businesses, communicate on LinkedIn, start cold calling them, introduce your business, introduce what you do, and start to get on their little black book. So when somebody does need a contractor stay or a healthcare worker stay or an insurance for a family that's relocation, you're the one that's top of mind. And they can easily fill up the 34 hours a week by doing every single thing that we've laid out in this podcast.
Boom.
Boom indeed.
We've reached our time. We've reached the end of our time, and I'm looking down at the notes I've made. The value bombs you've dropped in this have been immense.
Well, thank you.
They are amazing. Just in terms of the books to read, I've got them all written.
I know you are a big book fan, so I wanted to drop some book gems for you but when you're on the flight over to Europe.
Yeah, and I just want to cover that off because you are going to Barcelona to the short stay week and you'll be speaking about this. Yes. And I would love to encourage anybody who is thinking about, they need to do some networking. They'd like to go and do some education. They want to go and visit a fine city. That if there is one thing you could do this year, one event to go to, it would be short stay week because there is so much going on there. Mark, you're speaking. I'm speaking. Neely Khan is speaking. Tyanmar Singh is there.
All of your favorites are going to be.
All of your favorites.
Yes. It's going to be much more than just the event. There's going to be everything going on in and around it. There's going to be a chance to, you get to listen to us and see us on podcasts and YouTube and all those things, like a chance to meet up and see us in person and have a chat, which is what I'm really, really, really looking forward to. Yeah. So short stay week, book direct show. I'm going to take this podcast and I'm going to put it all together into like a nice little presentation. I've got something really cool planned on stage as well if the organizers allow it, but we'll be if you to see that you got to come to the show, so go check it out. Just Google it and I'm sure it'll come up. Yeah, and I'll put it in the show notes, so you have no excuse not to at least take a look at what's on, look at the speakers, whether it's scale rentals. There's something for those small companies of 20 to 50 properties. There's the larger scale rental show, which is the larger properties. There's a Lux show, and there is the Book Direct show, and then there's extras which include Tyann and Kate from Touchstay who are doing a separate event on the Monday. There's just so much, and I cannot wait. Can't wait to meet you, Mark. I think that will we will probably talk non-stop for the short time I will get to talk to you, because everybody else is going to be wanting to talk to you as well. No, I really do look forward to it, and it's going to be a really good week. So yeah, I look forward to seeing everybody there. Please do come up and say hi and say and have a chat. Yeah. Okay, Mark, you've got a very short time just to do your elevator pitch and tell us how people can find more about you and about Boostly. So the only place, I think the best place would be to go grab the Book Direct Playbook. Everything is in there that you possibly need to talk about this and more. And then if you want to go a little bit step further, if you've got that, then this is the second book, the Book Direct Blueprint. So go and grab them. They're on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, whatever. And then from there, you can find me, boostly.co.uk. Come and say hi. And I need signed copies, please, when I'm there in Barcelona. I'll bring my pen. Okay, Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. As I say, lots of value bombs in this. The show notes will be full of all the resources you've mentioned and all the links, so you can go take a look and link out. Thank you very much. I'm going to see you in May. See you soon.